you want me to say something now?
Sorry, okay, now I'm overthinking it.
So you have to use the word is?
Financial inclusion is sharing power and unleashing opportunity.
Financial inclusion is an opportunity to earn a better life.
Financial inclusion allows everyone, whether rich or poor, to make great decisions for themselves and their families.
Financial inclusion is a quest to bring the power and potential of money services to the world's poor.
Including the poorest, especially women.
Including the excluded, and really offering a broader range of services.
Financial inclusion enables low-income individuals to get access to services that would help them with their daily lives.
The ability for people to take control of their own lives.
Making banking services available at the doorstep of the poor people.
Financial inclusion is giving people options to make choices about what they want for their financial services.
Nobody faces a liquidity or a risk management constraint.
Poorer clients being very happy with the services they get that are affordable and accessible, and that they keep using those products and services.
Financial inclusion is being connected to the economy and having freedom to pursue your dreams.
Financial inclusion is helping me get the things that are most important to me done. Money helps me do that, and organizing it is what makes it happen.
Providing financial services to many people, but also ensuring that they use it and they understand it.
Commitment with clients, diversity, in an environment that makes commercial sense.
For our rural clients, financial inclusion is the ability to income smooth through activity with formal financial services.
Reducing the fears I have about managing and growing my money.
Financial inclusion is more than just access to financial services, it's deep and rich usage of those financial services.
Ensuring that everyone has access to trustworthy financial institutions and services.
Providing services and products that clients really need throughout their lives.
Financial inclusion is a means to help poor people in the informal economies of developing countries improve their lives.
It's hard to define. It's not obvious the way health inclusion is obvious or economic inclusion is obvious. Financial inclusion is mysterious.
That's it.
I guess we're...
Okay, we're here. It's the final session of this symposium on financial inclusion. Bob and Ann are going to have some concluding remarks, just a little review of the past 2.5 days, and maybe a little bit of a look forward to next year. I turn it over to them. After they finish, I will be back one last time with some final housekeeping information for you. So Bob and Ann, it's over to you now.
So there are probably a lot of you who we filmed. You did not expect to see yourselves. Sorry about that, but it's the way it goes.
But you signed a waiver, right, when you signed up for this thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just glad I wasn't up there. I don't think they actually asked me. They asked me about clients at the center.
All right.
Anyway, I just want to, first of all, Bob, I want to thank you and your team, and I know we're going to get into that a little bit in a few minutes, but I also want to thank the participants here at the symposium. You've just been, I think, wonderfully engaged, and so we really appreciate that. And I think it does reflect on where we've moved over the past year. I think when Bob and I sat up here last year, I mean, when we reflect on where we were last year compared to this year, I mean, the conversation, the discussion around clients at the center has really advanced, I think, in many ways. I would honestly take issue with the fact that it's more of the same. I don't actually think it is. I've been in financial services for a long time, and I think I made reference to that last year. And I think Jan Piercy put it really well. The financial sector, whether it's serving low-income clients or middle-income or high, we're still not really getting it right. And so we still, I think, collectively have a lot of work to do. And I think it's going to be important to engage. I really like this notion of engaging a broader set of actors as we are beginning to do more and more and riding kind of really good infrastructure, riding the rails, and expanding the way, and looking at new models, always testing. And, I think mind blown. I love that opening this morning where they showed, I think, 40, 50 iterations on their app to move a user from 3 minutes to 40 hours. That's what we have to continue to think about how to do. And I'm hoping that this series of symposia, we've got 3 more. I don't know what next year is going to look like. I'm already beginning to worry because I think the audience has already given us some great guidance in terms of the things we need to think about. It's going to really be how do we narrow it and continue to make this really helpful for participants without it getting too out of control.
You mean like too much fun and wild and
well, I think
big
we
parties.
still have to have a lot of that, Bob. I don't want to give up on that. I do worry that we make it too formal. So
Okay.
I don't want to move there.
So it was interesting to me, is this anything new or not? And one of the comments I made early on, I think, goes to that point. Yeah, I think it's really easy to climb onto the bandwagon of client centricity because, after all, we have so many clients, right? And so as we think about these future symposia going forward, I think the direction we want to move in goes sort of to Cheryl's point that she made, which is ultimately, how do we accumulate a body of evidence about how these different tools for understanding clients more deeply in more nuanced ways and being able to attend more effectively to a broader range of their family goals, how do those ideas that are very present here, coming in, a lot of them from outside of our microfinance community, I think we've done a good job of bringing in a lot of that creativity. How do those tools start to play out? How do those pilots start to pan out? How how and when do different organizations start taking on to scale those ideas, and how does the evidence start rolling in that we can present more and more of as these series of symposia go on? I think that's part of what I'm imagining the future to look like. Can we grow along with, hopefully, a client-centric focus on the part of many leading institutions? Can we continue to be presenting where and how those experiences are being most effective?
And I think that's why this is a symposium and a series of symposia rather than a conference, because I think that's the distinction, which is this is more about imparting learning, sharing learning. We're counting on all of you to bring forward both what's working and what may not be working particularly well, so that we can share some of the good practices. And if we think back to M-Pesa, that was not a model that at the outset, that came out of a product that wasn't working. And so there was a lot of work around moving it in a different direction, and I think there's still a lot to be learned from that, and also from other actors who've been at this a while. I just learned there's a gentleman here in the audience who invited me to go to a conference next year around the customer experience, which is done, this is now going to be what, Harriet's 9th year next fall, or 8th year? It's 8 years that this has been going on as a topic, engaging a broad set of actors, thousands of people. Now, I don't want us to go in that direction, but it's financial service providers, it's retailers, it's wholesale, it's a whole range of actors that are thinking about what they call Customer X or CX. I mean, it's a whole acronym that I've got to get familiar with now. And I'm going to go learn about how this whole broad group of actors is thinking about customer experience. And just one last comment, because I do think it's more than, I know where there's been a lot of talk about the link with human-centered design. It's beyond just thinking about the approaches, and human-centered design is certainly an approach, but it's thinking about this broader ways and understandings of getting at the client. And it could be, you send 2 people to sit in a combi. That's a whole different approach to learning about and taking your ideas to potential clients.
Sure. Shall we move on?
Anything
to
else? Okay. We have, let me see.
Yeah, just click it forward.
There are 2 evaluations I think that you all received that we've asked you to complete before you leave. So we take this seriously. As you know, or may have, I hope you've seen, we took into account quite seriously your input from last year. A lot of you followed up separately with emails. We also welcome that, but continue to give us feedback so that we can respond to you and continue to improve the symposium. This is one example of one that's up. And then there's another, so there are 2 that we just asked you. And Roger's going to remind you again to complete before you leave. And then a few of you asked, how are we going to stay engaged? And you don't have to do this just from symposium to symposium. You know, this is a broader discussion. So Gerhardt and his team, the team at CGAP, I think, revealed the other night the community of practice. Here it is again. I just want to remind you that's the community of practice around clients at the center and client centricity. That is certainly a great place for us to continue to engage in this conversation and carry it forward.
Well, and that's really what we're about here,
That's
right?
what we're about,
I mean, isn't
right.
that what we're trying to create both with the symposium, through the virtual space? You know, we're really trying to make this a place where people who are deeply committed to trying to improve the customer experience and be more useful to clients are gathering. Yeah.
And I'm hoping it's this kind of workspace that might help Cheryl, for example, or others over time as it gets populated and developed further. And then the second will be, and so this is a community of practice. This is the website for the symposium, so keep an eye on this. And Bob and I don't know how many of you heard our web chat. It was our first webinar, sorry,
yes.
Experience with that. We'll probably do a few more of those and maybe engage other actors in those conversations between now and the next symposium. And there'll also be other material on an ongoing basis that this has been built out in the last couple of months, and we'll look to keep this active and interesting and relevant to this series of symposia over the next couple of years. So those are the 2 areas and ways that you can always keep engaged, I think, with this really important area of work. So that's it for the websites.
That's it for the website?
Now the most
important part of our little job here, right?
Right.
Yes. So we certainly need to thank the people who have put this together. I know that we have asked a number of them to come in and join us in the room. All the folks that you have been in contact with, and many of the Suffice to say, this has, I think, been a very well-run event, and we hope that your experience has been pretty seamless. We've aimed.
It's been amazing. I don't know how many of you were here last year when Bob and I sat on the corner and we were constantly running in and out, and trying to get a hold of speakers. And I won't go into too much more detail, but
we've got this event.
I did feel like a chicken with her head cut off. This year, I hope, emanated calm. I do need to call out one person. I want to thank the entire team at the foundation also for their support, the communications team, the financial inclusion team, our monitoring, evaluation, and learning team. We've had great participation from our board members, but I need to call out Sumaya. So, just stand up. Thank you. She's done a wonderful, the minute we stopped last year, she started on this year. And she also manages our partnership with Boulder and has just done a fantastic job. So thank you again.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Bob.
This has been a good deal.
See you next year.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.